Yeah, so I just left Belmarsh and HMP ISIS. Powerful day. It's always a powerful day when I go there. Feeling a little bit heavy now, as you can imagine, being back in those environments. However, it's all worth it when you know that the value that you add. So the message was simple today, and it kept on coming up. It's just forgiveness. A lot of the brothers find it hard to forgive themselves for the current situation that they're in. And I've been there. When you're often asking yourself, what if this, what if that, what if I just did this little thing different on this particular day, and it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere, it just keeps you in a constant loop. So the message was to just forgive yourself and look within for the answers. Then I went to ISIS to meet my new mentee, and good kid to be fair, they're all good kids. He's 19, keeps getting into trouble, can't stop fighting. You know, we've all been there. And he doesn't even really see a way off the wing that he's on, but it's my job to help him get off of that wing. So he's been on basic for the last 5 months. If you don't know what basic is, that's when you haven't got a TV. And he's currently on a wing where he has a restricted regime. However, it's my job to talk to him, give him the necessary tools to help him get out of that position. And he said he has about 4 years left, so we can do some good work together. So a good day, positive day. I always tell them positive's a new gangster. He always asks what Hear Me Now is. I tell them that our family used to always say, who don't hear must feel, but they didn't give us any other tools. They only gave us the trauma. So Hear Me Now means it encompasses everything. Hear me now because I want you to hear me now, and I don't want you to end up in these places. Because who don't hear will feel. We used to hear that all the time. But now I'm saying, who does hear will heal. And that gives it the holistic approach. And then I finish that mantra by saying positive is the new gangster. So it feels good. I feel good. I feel lifted. However, it is heavy. It is heavy. So I will have to go home and do the necessary work on the me time side of it. You know, but all in all, a productive day. I even got to see someone I was in prison with years ago and who's currently doing a life sentence. And although it was sad, it was good for him to see me in this position, you know? And he now speaks of his son being on the roads, which really broke my heart. So I suppose the message there would be, our kids are watching. Our kids are watching, and maybe you might think, ooh, who is he to talk? And he went to prison for 10 years out of his child's life. You know? But maybe that makes me even more qualified to talk. You know, so powerful day, powerful downloads, and a lot of the brothers, they're there, and as you can imagine, they're heavy. And the reason I went to prison off the back of infighting with my friends, I always say it, but I take accountability in that, and you know, it takes two to tango, so to speak. Even though situations can be orchestrated and can arise, it still takes two to tango. So I take accountability in that. But, you know, the thing remains is forgiveness. Forgiveness and accountability, they're two of the most powerful things that you can do. One, we want to forgive ourselves first. A lot of people don't forgive themselves. I got hiccups. A lot of people don't forgive themselves. So a lot of people are still weighted down by non-forgiveness of self. Then you got to add that to the fact that people don't forgive others either, and they carry that as well. So, you know, I use the analogy of, if you're in a prison, you got a sentence ahead of you. As I did, I imagined myself at the bottom of a mountain, and I needed to climb up and transcend the mountain, like climb up it and get to the peak, to then, which was probably about the middle point, and then start transcending down the other side, or coming down the other side, you know? So I told them to imagine themselves at the foot of the mountain with, you know, all those years to go. Remember, let's face it, some of these guys are doing 38 years in prison. You know, some of them are doing 38 and 10 years in. So I told them that if you don't forgive people, that climb that you have to do, the biggest climb of your life, the biggest fight of your life, is going to be heavier. I told them if they don't forgive themselves, that fight of their life, the biggest fight they'll ever have to do, will also be heavier. Remember, the L's we take in life are our capital. The lessons we learn from those L's are our assets. And once you add that to your account and ability, don't let that go over your head, there, you start to see things different. So forgiveness is the message today, guys. Forgiveness is the message that I'm getting. Forgiveness is the message that I got. Because imagine if I went to prison for infighting with my friends, right? Then I didn't have good discernment of character. That means I didn't know who was around me. Because I didn't know who was around me, I was lacking in that department. And God will always clip your wings when you feel that you're flying the highest. Remember, man plans, God laughs. So we'll be there, talk about, look at me, we're doing this, we're doing that, we got this, we got that. You know, we're in the world, whatever. And then God will just clip your wings when you think you're flying the highest. Because remember, when you think you're flying the highest, because your roof is beneath his feet. I'll say that again. What you think is high is way beneath God's feet and what God can do for your life. So he will clip your wings. He will humble you. He will put you in a place where you have to climb a mountain. You know? Where you have to go through a deep, dark phase of incubation, loneliness, where you figure out who's for you and who's not. But during that time, he will also give you the tools that you lacked. He will also give you the tools that you lacked. And one of those tools I lacked was discernment of character. And what if I told you that I now have a spirit of discernment? I now have a spirit of discernment. I can look at somebody and tell you exactly how they feel, exactly what their intentions are, exactly what they are carrying. So when I speak to these young men and I tell them to hear me now, they listen. They listen because they know that sitting before them is a brother that's been through it. That connection there enough, that connection there alone will make for great conversation, great reasoning. When you conversate on, we just conversate, but reasoning is different. So like I said, we sat in a circle, we had fire playing on the screen, the TV, diffusers, it was dark, put on blue lights, starlights on the ceiling, and had meditation music playing. And we held a reason. And we sat in a circle. And the reason we sat in a circle, because the circle signifies continuance. It's the most important shape in nature. The sun's circular, the moon's circular. It travels in a circular arc. You know? So, and also being in a circle signifies that everybody's of equal importance. Nobody's more important than anybody else. And that there is beautiful. So that makes for a great reasoning. And they opened up. They opened up. But I could sense, I can always tell who has their light turned up inside them and who has the light dimmed. And a few brothers had their light dimmed. So it was just my job to go there and explain to them how to, turn that light up inside you. I'm working with an organization called A Few Great Men. And this particular project is called the You Project, which stands for Your Own Universe. It's amazing. So hear me now in conjunction with a few great men. And it just felt good. It feels good to go to places like this and deliver. It feels good to tell these men that, yes, they may have had a fall, but 7 times fall, 8 times rise. It feels good to tell these men that many men fall over and never get up, but not them. They are getting up. Can you hear the rain? Beautiful. So yeah, like I said, it's a bit heavy right now. I'm making this video. I do feel a bit heavy. I have to go and do the necessary things I need to do to shred that 2 prisons in 1 day. It has my head a little bit tight at the top, just when it comes to leaving time. But again, the message is forgiveness. The message is to take accountability. The message is to also forgive yourself as much as you forgive others. I told them a story, right, of how I was praying for forgiveness, and no less than a week later, there I am in traffic, and beside me, a guy has pulled up that done something quite, I'd say, heinous to me. Yeah, heinous may be the wrong word. But done something quite bad to me, something that, you know, if I was still in the world, would have deserved retaliation. And I was asking God for forgiveness a few days before. Anyway, I've now seen this person in traffic, and it's up to me what to do. I'm looking at him, we're window to window. I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. I'm looking at him like, don't you dare say nothing. And put me in that position. He's looking at me like I know who you are, but if you do something, I'll defend myself. And in that moment there, it was like all the cars disappeared that was around us. And I literally stuck my fist out the window, spud him, or fist pumped him, wherever you're from in the world. And that was it. But that fist pump was so important. And the reason that fist pump was more than a fist pump is because your reputation goes ahead of you. Now, by this time, I had just got out of prison. I hadn't seen many people. So based on how I dealt with that situation, would have been how people would have dealt with and perceived me. I dealt with the situation right, so that was therefore dealt with and perceived. So therefore, I was dealt with right by other people. Forgiveness isn't easy, guys. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things you can do, especially when you feel you've been wronged or slighted. And accountability is for the big dogs. It's not for the small pups. It's not. Look how much adults and people we know in life that can't take accountability up to this day. It's not for everybody. Accountability is not for everybody. But once you take accountability of the role that you played within a situation, it becomes easier. And they were fully receptive, and they really took to the lessons, the teachings, and the reasonings. And you always know, because people ask questions and stuff like that. But sometimes even if people don't ask questions, it doesn't mean that they're not listening. For example, we had 3 men in the class that were quiet today. I made sure I challenged them on their quietness and simply asked them a few questions based on what they had been learning. They were all receptive, they were all happy to speak, and they all allowed themselves to be vulnerable. This is beautiful, man. This is beautiful. This is Positive's The New Gangster in full effect. This is standing 10 toes down in your truth. This is what I'm doing. This is my truth. Because let's face it, I could be making a fool of myself on the internet, and to some people I'm still making a fool of myself, but I could be making a fool of myself doing other things. Chasing clout and not worrying about what impact my message has on anyone. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Beautiful day, beautiful downloads. Truth of the matter is, I meant to make another video on something, on a different topic, and I ended up speaking on this video for 15 minutes. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think the Germans call it Wunderbock. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And after that was Boomlagash from Crash Bandicoot. This is how my brain works. Forgive me. You know. But I celebrate those quirks. And I want you to celebrate the art of forgiveness. It's not easy. It's very challenging. You will have your days where you want to scream and shout. But as long as you forgive them, then they no longer have any power over your life. And I'm sure if I asked you the question, would you like someone to have power over your life or assert power over your life, you'd say no. So because of that fact, I'm telling you and asking you, but because of that fact, I'm now telling you that Positive is a new gangster. So hear me now. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do so. Help your boy on the way to 1,000 subscribers. Remember, a simple tap of a subscribe button from you could help someone see this message somewhere else in the world that needs it. Hear me now, because who don't hear must feel, and who does hear will heal. Positive is a new gangster. And forgiveness of self and others is a real key gem in life. I feel like once you can accomplish that, you can accomplish anything. because there'll be nothing to hold you down. Positive's a new gangster.